and it ends up being what the woke...
Oh no, that's so sad. There's a super interesting admission in there.
And I apologize to Moistcritikal for showing a picture on stream of you and your girlfriend. That was not very Christ-like.
Oh,
I'm sorry. And
cool.
I genuinely hope...
Talking to successful people and figuring out what they did to be successful is important, but people that are selling success, it's a different type of model. It seems like it's a slight difference, but I think it actually makes all the difference in the world. In my opinion, like if I were...
Do you believe that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent?
I love the new Sneako. Fellow Rumble content creator.
Things that YouTube promotes on the trending page. Moistcritikal playing with and sitting on d***s. Moistcritikal using Satanism and Antichrist in his music videos.
Ready to go, so let's fornicate.
And his rampant gaming addiction. 3 things you can't say on YouTube, but you could say on Rumble. The COVID vaccine doesn't... The 2020 election was against Trump. And billionaire pedophiles use wokeness to keep you depressed and poor. This is why I was banned on YouTube.
Jesus.
Today I'm in Japan, a society that has not yet been corrupted by wokeness, training hard, working every day, and seeing the world. But it's no secret that I have a degenerate past. Around 3 years ago, when I was 21 years old, I went to a swinger party with one of my girlfriends and joked about how traumatizing it was on a podcast. I was cheating on her a lot, and I felt bad, and I thought it would make us even if we swapped with a couple. I don't do it anymore, I don't recommend it, and seeing how many people call me a cuck for what I thought was a funny story, you should probably not do the same. I tried the lifestyle that the woke mind virus pushes, and it ends up being what the woke...
Oh no, that's so sad. There's a super interesting admission in there. I actually think that this story was crazy that he had the confidence to share this publicly. I think it was pretty brave. It was pretty wild that he felt comfortable saying it. Now that was old Sneako. But notice how he says he's changed his opinion on it, not because he's reflected on it and he has like a different set of feelings about it, but because of how people reacted. People will make fun of you. It's like such a like new versus old Sneako.
If we swapped with a couple. I don't do it anymore, I don't recommend it, and seeing how many people call me a cuck for what I thought was a funny story, you should probably not do the same. I tried the lifestyle that the woke mind virus pushes, and it ends up being what the woke YouTubers try to shame me for. Kind of ironic. I showed him...
I don't know if anybody, I don't know how he's defining woke, but I don't think there's a lot of woke people saying that you should try swinging. I mean, maybe some people, but I don't know. Wait, it was not woke that you should do that. He was following Patrick O'Neal's lifestyle to the, or Patrice O'Neal's lifestyle to the T. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying it's kind of funny that he's like saying here, like, yeah, people made fun of me for it, so no, I wish I didn't do it. That's just kind of like, it's kind of sad, I guess, but...
Moment of weakness on a podcast, thinking that it'd be a funny experience to talk about, and it will continue to haunt me for probably the rest of my career. Seeing all the hate online, it dawned on me in Japan, why have I never had a single negative interaction in public outside every single day? They all shake my hand and ask me for a picture. Not even a little joke, haha, cuck, never. Considering I was trending for a week straight on Twitter with hatred, that must mean 2 things. 1, social media breeds negativity, and 2, the biggest haters just don't go outside. 1 year ago today, I lived that life. I was depressed and broke, I was out of shape, I was gaming, I was watching porn, I got high every single day, I was miserable. My girlfriends clearly didn't respect me, I never left the room, and I had absolutely no purpose in life. Today I'm happy to say I'm in the best shape of my life, I became a millionaire, and my global network is only increasing. I don't say this to flex, but to show you that there's an option. Look at the lives of anyone making a hit piece video on Sneako, and look at the life that I am currently living in the present. Genuinely, which one would you rather live?
Only think 2 ass, who first, 2 head, far as you concerned, you is.
This is that thing I was talking about before, where it's like, it feels like, especially for all of these red pill guys, like it's not enough to just, it's not enough to like, have a message or like advise somebody something. Like it has to be like an entire lifestyle thing. Like that's, I don't want to say it's a cult, but it kind of feels that way when it's like they have to sell you an entire lifestyle. It can't just be like 1 or 2 things you talk about. It's got to be like a whole matrix of ideas. It's kind of cringe, I think.
It's a new bid.
Moistcritikal is the physical embodiment of everything that I stand against. And honestly, no disrespect to him, I don't dislike him. He's just the perfect example of a popular YouTuber that's brainwashed. I used to watch his videos when I was a teenager, just like a lot of my other haters, and today he's everything that I don't want to be when I'm 30 years old. When I'm his age, I don't want to be playing children's video games, playing with dildos for content, and using Satanism to be edgy. I don't want to drop the Antichrist for fun. What is this? Please someone tell me what they enjoy about this.
She begs me quick, got me screaming, rides my dick.
I don't show these clips to tarnish his image, but to show you what he's presently promoting. I do not promote my woke past. I grew up online. Of course I've made many, many mistakes. My message today is to follow God, work hard, train hard, ban porn, stop gaming, and see what's possible with your life. I criticize Moistcritikal so much because he actually released a video that accidentally changed my entire worldview by slandering my now close friends at Fresh and Fit. You don't have to ask what Fresh and Fit stand for, it's in the name of their show. So for everybody watching this, what does Moistcritikal stand for? What does he believe in? Do you know? I don't. I've watched him for years. I cannot tell you what he believes. How have you reached a point on the internet where you could have 10 million subscribers as a commentary channel and have no basis of commentary?
The only thing more pathetic than a guy who calls himself an alpha male.
In that video, Moistcritikal called Fresh a virgin incel loser, the same insults that I get. He insisted that men can't be with multiple women because Fresh, honestly, isn't a traditional Chad.
There is no reality in the entirety of the multiverse where this man has slept with one woman.
Fresh was just telling a real story about how he pulled 3 girls in one night, and he actually verified it, but Moistcritikal didn't correct it.
I feel like the reason why that story is funny is because Fresh didn't pull 3 girls. He supposedly had a famous friend hook him up with 3 girls. Those are 2 very, 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 very different things.
This is when I realized the brainwashing in its purest form. Fresh knows he's an average looking guy, but he's known all over Miami as a playboy. Moistcritikal just can't comprehend that somebody like Fresh, who's the same age and on the same level of attractiveness, can be with beautiful women because instead of networking, working hard, and looking fresh, he's playing with in video games. This is the lie sold to keep you depressed. The world is out there for you to conquer as a man, but the 1% provide us with so many distractions to gatekeep it for themselves. I criticize Moistcritikal because he makes millions of dollars selling that lie. For the young men watching, is that the life you want to live at 30 years old? The terrible tragedy that happened in Nashville yesterday is representative of exactly what I talk about in my stream. A trans person shot up a church, and the mainstream news was more focused on misgendering the shooter than addressing the problem. The sitting president got on stage to provide a solution and instead opened up by talking about chocolate ice cream and good-looking kids.
I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs.
In Japan, there is no wokeness, there is no LGBT trans nonsense, and society is civilized. Somebody spills over their bag and everybody comes to help them out because they see each other as extended family.
Okay, hold on. Firstly, Americans are pretty friendly. If you just in walking around, if somebody drops something, like, yeah, there are probably some places you go where you can get robbed or whatever, but in general, I think Americans are generally pretty friendly. If somebody needs help, people will open doors for each other. People will pick shit up for each other. Maybe not unlike the New York subway. I shouldn't even say that because I don't know about the New York subway. Japan is not perfect, right? Especially if you're going to talk about like incel culture and shit. Japan, there are literally names for like how problematic the not incel community, I shouldn't even say it, but like young men that like live at home and never talk to girls or even go out of their house. Like, it's pretty insane, the problems that Japan is having with lack of reproduction and young men that like can't talk to women. So, I mean, like, I'm not trying to say, also, if you go to Japan, you're white. Just kidding. Half kidding. Yeah, like everybody's got their pros and cons. Japan definitely does some things that are super cool, which is awesome. That is, like, Japan has cool things. I like their cleanup culture. They go to games for football and shit, and they clean up all their shit. I think that's really cool. They do seem to have a lot of respect in their culture. They have anime, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, there's cool things Japan does, but like, this thing where you like suck off another country when you've gone there for 2 days as a rich foreigner is like the cringiest thing in the world.
There's no culture war. There is a life outside of the woke degeneracy, and that's why I will continue to defend the movie Cuties until Moistcritikal decides to debate me about it. Nobody who hates the movie Cuties has seen it. It's about an Islamic family that moves from West Africa to France, a woke country that's literally on fire right now, and the daughter of the family gets corrupted by TikTok and starts dancing provocatively and leaves her Islamic values behind. She goes from a good Muslim girl to a degenerate wokey, lying, twerking, and fighting, and it blows up in her face and her family's disappointed, and eventually she reverts back to Islam. I like that movie.
So I haven't watched the movie, but apparently this is a very skewed reading of the movie. It's not supposed to be pro-Islam at the end. But I haven't seen the movie, so I don't take that for what you will. I don't even know why I mentioned it. I should watch it before.
Because I see it as another version of my life. I started YouTube at 11 years old, and following the trends of social media before God led me to complete degeneracy. But rejecting these values, I have found a new direction, purpose, and meaning for my life. A lot of the hatred is justified. I should not have been attacking the people in the soy boy collage as much as I was, but I held a lot of resentment because they actively tried to get me banned on YouTube. They encouraged their followers to go and report my page. They celebrated when I was canceled for telling the truth.
Hey, this is not going to be a normal video. Today I want to briefly talk about the content creator Sneako and ask YouTube to ban him from the platform.
They publicly tried to ruin my life's work, destroy my income, all because they disagree with my worldview. I don't want to attack people anymore. I would love to debate them and challenge their ideas, but they would rather make documentaries deep diving into my past, and my only existence on a platform that I'm banned on and grew up on is only hatred. You look up Sneako, there's no more of my videos. It's just people saying that my life is over, insisting that I'm a bad person. So the only option now is to be a force for good. And let's be honest, there is a clear pattern with the people that hate me. I don't say it to be cocky, but I am tall, I'm good looking, and I'm successful. This is why the #1 criticism is wannabe alpha male Sneako. Oh, this alpha male. It's rooted in jealousy and the idea that masculinity is a bad thing. I don't think I'm an alpha male. I've never once called myself that. I promote the ideas of masculinity because it is so desperately needed right now. Being completely vulnerable, all this attack online has been difficult. But if Allah wills good for someone, he afflicts him with trials. And I have to be better now. I'm officially retiring the soy boy image. I forgive everybody who advocated for my cancellation or made documentaries about me, and I'm ditching my attacking style of streaming. And I apologize to Moistcritikal for showing a picture on stream of you and your girlfriend. That was not very Christ-like. I'm sorry. And I genuinely hope you provide more value to your extremely large audience. The powers of Satan are taking over the West in real time, and I hope that everyone watching doesn't contribute to it anymore.
Only think two ass, who first, two head.
All the way from Asia, the Creativity Kit team is running smoothly. I just did a call today for an hour and talked to everybody, gave a lesson about making money online. I'm traveling with people who make money from e-commerce. That's why I've added new professors for web design, e-commerce, content creation. We have a call every single day teaching you how to make money, and the network in there is impressive. These people really want to get to it, so if you want to find like-minded people, click the link in the description and join the Creativity Kit now.
Apparently he spoke to...
But I'm not foolin'. The title is not a joke. I talked to Sneako. And I gotta be honest, I had butterflies in my tummy. I was more excited to talk to him than I would be to talk to Santa Claus.
Discussion with you about Cuties since I dropped that video back in 2020.
How time flies, man. Well, better late
It's
than
so
never.
weird that he ripped the audio, I guess, from Charlie's stream for this? Because his audio is crystal clear.
Yeah, so... you mentioned you saw my video, so you know I didn't finish the movie. I physically couldn't. I found it just to be completely repulsive.
I feel like I want to watch this Cuties.
Movies that have repulsed you before. I watch horror movies. I watch movies that are provocative quite a bit.
Yeah, but this is something I feel isn't being recognized. There's a difference between being repulsed by fiction, which is like horror movies, you know, that's not real, and being repulsed because there's real children doing sexual things. You can't fake that. The actresses were 11 to 13 years old. They were twerking. There was some very gross scenes in there, and like the cameras would zoom in on their chest and their ass and their crotch. Like, that's a very different kind of repulsed.
That's what we agree on. I don't agree that those scenes are good. I don't agree with the sexualization of children. I defend the movie because I defend the morality of the movie. And I think that most people that were disgusted have seen those clips or didn't watch the whole movie like you. So that movie was taken out of context quite a bit. People don't really see the moral of the movie, which is defending Islamic values and also pointing out the very real problem that young girls have going on social media and doing these dances. I agree that it's disgusting. I agree that those scenes are repulsive, But I think you could be repulsed by TikTok and pretty much what young girls are doing on social media every single day as well. I think that people outraged at that film should also be outraged at everything that girls are doing now on Instagram, TikTok, and all these apps.
Let's break it down to the very bare essentials. Can children consent?
Can children consent? No, they can't. We agree.
So then why do you think it's excusable to exploit them after having them sign up for this film? If you admit they can't consent, how can they possibly give the okay to be shaking their ass and having a camera all up in their shit while they're doing sexual things, like that scene where she takes a picture of her vagina, the scene where they're doing literal, like, toying around with cam sites? Like, that's very different. Like, no one is disputing the message, right? It's
I agree with the intention of the movie. I don't think that those scenes are good. That's what we completely agree on. But I think that was an important movie to point out how many people get sucked into this world. I think that was needed. That movie was needed to be made. And I also don't think that movie encouraged pedophiles to go and cite and look at these girls. I think that they're more likely to go on TikTok and find girls that they're attracted to. I don't think that this really attracted people to these girls.
Well, it's not like I'm here arguing that this movie created pedophiles, right? But what it did is it delivered a film that they would watch for totally different reasons than the message. Again, the message isn't something that I or pretty much anyone has an issue with. The message is, like you mentioned, the social media poisoning them, making them do the sexual things, which is a problem. But this movie contributes to it since it still used real children to sexualize them, to showcase it. That's the issue. You didn't need it to be children.
I don't think it contributes to it, because when you see girls doing this on TikTok, they don't know.
I don't see girls doing it on TikTok, though, is the thing, right? The only people that would are going to be the pedophiles. They would go and search that out. This movie was advertised on Netflix.
No, that's not true. Every time, I don't have TikTok on my phone, but once in a while, before I was banned, I would go on there, and the first 3 videos would be the same thing that you see on Cuties. And that's why I uninstalled the app. That's why I refuse to have it on my phone, because it's directing you to those images.
Which is a problem. I'm not disagreeing that's a problem. But that doesn't make this film...
We agree.
There was never anything wrong with the message, and maybe the intention of the director was...
How would you tell the director to convey the message in a different way?
Use adult actors.
You would just not use children. You could deliver the same message, and you don't use children. The problem is...
I don't think it would be effective. I don't think it would be as effective. It's unfortunate that it's misinterpreted, but you couldn't be able to have that effect and show how provocative and how dangerous it is without using kids. Of course, the shots probably did not need to be that bad, but when I watched that, I was absolutely disgusted. And like I said, it changed my perspective. And what I'm surprised about is that you are against wokeness, because everything that your content is about, it doesn't seem like you've ever directed any energy towards how dangerous wokeness can be, which is exactly what that movie's about. It's saying how important Islamic values are in the face of wokeness. It's about a Western African family, Islamic. They go to France, a completely woke country that's now being burned alive, and women are running around topless. Wokeness has consumed France, and it's pointing out...
Has wokeness consumed France? Is that true? I thought it was Islam.
Values.
If you go to France, don't most people there complain about Muslims, not wokeness? Isn't it like the opposite? I could be wrong. I don't know. But I feel like when I hear like French people complain, it's going to be about like places like Paris, or maybe I'm thinking of foreign southern. I don't know. Is wokeness a huge... No, actually, no, I'm sorry. That Marie Le Pen got reasonably popular. Do people... Maybe they do. I don't know. They might. I don't know. Maybe.
Who was the director of the film? Do you know?
Her name is Maminou Doucouré. Maminou Doucouré, I think that's her name. She's a Western African woman, and she moved to France. So I imagine that she had a very similar experience, and she was trying to portray what it was like growing up.
So the message of the movie is about social media, and almost exclusively. She directed the film based on seeing some children in a neighborhood doing sexual dances and wondering, how did it get to that point? This isn't okay. So the movie was supposed to be about how does a child get to that point, and it's about how social media is poisoning them, and they're constantly comparing themselves. They're seeing these things, so they're putting on makeup and they're doing sexual shit, and they never really understand why or the consequences of it. It's not a critique on wokeness, though. Of course, anything in the art field you can derive your own meaning from. I recognize that almost everything you encounter in life you tie back to either cancellation or wokeness, but in this film in particular, this is a movie I really feel conflicts hard with your ideology. Under no circumstances should children be sexualized, is where I stand. Do you disagree?
There's a lot of things in movies, like I don't agree with incest in Star Wars, but Star Wars has incest scenes. I don't agree with incest, but it's portrayed.
It's not real incest, though. This is real children being sexualized. It's not fake. These are 11.
I agree. But I'm defending the point of the movie.
You can defend the point of the movie, but you can still condemn the movie itself. The point can stand on its own 2 feet, right? Like, there is a problem, which you recognize, with kids being sexualized, in specific on TikTok. That is a problem in and of itself. But you can still condemn this film for contributing to the thing it's supposed to speak out against, which is sexualizing children, which you have admitted it does. And it didn't need to, like you said. That is the problem.
Maybe they shouldn't have used child actors, but
that was Charlie's whole point.
But how do you think that the point could have been conveyed in a better way? You think should they have used 18-year-olds to play 11-year-olds?
That's exactly what most movies have done for a long time. A quick example is The Last of Us using Bella Ramsey to portray a 14, 15-year-old. You can do that, and that's a lot more acceptable because there is no longer a victim. Like you'd said, children can't consent. These kids could never fully consent to being sexualized in this film like this on the big screen.
I would argue that when they use 30-year-olds and 27-year-olds to play high schoolers, like in Euphoria and like in 13 Reasons Why, it actually sexualizes kids more because we start to mature high schoolers and we think of them in a different way. People in their 30s and their late 20s get addicted to Euphoria and they have ideas and they start romanticizing teenagers in a different way because they don't use actors in that way and they make them look more mature.
That's a completely separate conversation you can make arguments for, but that doesn't work here because it sexualizes already real children, right? So I think you're getting hung up on like the what ifs and like whataboutisms on other sides, but the core doesn't change. So let me give you an example. It is realistic to use kids for the message, right? Because it's about kids. Well, what if the child was naked doing the pic? If they showed the kids, is that now too far? It's still realistic.
That's too far. So there's 2 ways the movie could have been changed to be more effective and that people would understand the message. 1, they could have used child actors and they should not have been sexualized in that way. Or 2, they could have been 18 plus and it could have been sexualized, but then it wouldn't have been as effective. One of the 2 should have changed. I agree.
Okay. So then do you think there's like levels to sexualization of kids that is acceptable and then unacceptable?
No, it's never acceptable to sexualize children, but
then we agree. So then can we then say, since this film sexualized children, I can't really champion the film. However, the message is okay. Like, I like the message.
I agree completely. But the reason I defend that movie is because I think everybody just saw those scenes and looked past the message and looked past the good moral that the director had when making it.
That could very well be the case for some people, right? 100%.
I would say most people. Most people who hate the movie haven't seen it. Most of the people accusing me of being a pedophile for defending the movie haven't seen it, have no idea what it's about. They've just seen those scenes.
But they're also still not wrong for being upset about those scenes. Like, can you recognize that?
I think they should be more upset at the problem. I think people should direct that anger instead of calling me a pedophile on the internet. They should look at the system that turns these girls into sexual objects at a young age and be more angry at that. That is the real issue. That is the bigger problem at large.
They do, though. It's not mutually exclusive, like where it's one or the other.
Do they? Do you?
Do I what? Talk about the problem?
Do you direct that anger? I see you follow the narrative that's popular on social media, but I don't see you ever direct it at the problem. Do you agree that wokeness is one of the biggest problems that corrupts kids nowadays?
Define wokeness.
Wokeness is the liberal ideology, is feelings over facts. I identify this way because
these talking points
is there's no gender, nothing matters, I do as I want, everything that's promoted on social media.
Do you realize half of what you just described is how you've lived your life for the last year? Like feelings over facts, for example. You champion bullying. You think bullying needs to come back. I have never canceled you. Can you recognize that? I have actually always spoke out against deplatforming, if you've ever noticed. I spoke out against it.
No, but you were also disingenuous. When I called out the Soy Boy collage, you were like, these people just hurt my feelings. Most of those people actively advocated for my cancellation.
Nick is not green is the only person.
True. That's not true. Ethan Klein celebrated and clapped when I was banned and said, good, finally this misogynist is banned.
That's making fun. That's not him championing it. He wasn't out there leading a charge against you. When it happened, he laughed at you.
There was another one as well, the Nick is not green friend, the identical, the bigger one. the Bob's Burger look, he also was advocating for my cancellation. That was a big reason why I grouped them all together, not because they hurt my feelings. What happens on the internet, I understand. It's good to have back and forth. Bullying is good because it makes you have to develop your character in a different way. That's not why I was upset. I was upset because a lot of these people were secretly happy or secretly hoping that I was going to get banned because they disagree with my ideology.
But then why am I on that list when I only ever spoke out against deplatforming? That seems like I'm there because I hurt your feelings.
You didn't hurt my feelings. I thought it was funny because you do look like the rest of them.
I don't understand how, but we're not here to get into the nitty gritty, I guess. The things that you preach against, you yourself embody. I don't see how you have all of these spins for it, but do you recognize that's not actually justification? For example, you like the message of Cuties, but you also admit that it literally sexualizes children, which you agree is a bad thing and that there's no sexualization of children, that it should be acceptable, but you still champion it. So the things that you actively talk about, like hating and all that, you are still championing for. Sensitivity.
I champion good intentions. I do not think that you have good intentions with your videos. I think that you've said it in this debate. You like to entertain, you say what's fun, what's trendy. If somebody gets falsely imprisoned, you think it's funny because it's a pizza box. I agree with the intentions that the director had making Cuties. She wanted to point out the wokeness. If people have good intentions, I will defend them. I don't think that you have any specific point of view on the world, so I challenge your beliefs. That's what's more important than what's said and what's taken out of context every single day.
You haven't challenged any of my beliefs, though. Most of this has just been an attack on me or my girlfriend, which started all of this. You're not challenging beliefs, Sneako. You're stuck in your own echo chamber.
True.
I challenge your belief of you gaming all day and criticizing me for adding value to my audience by teaching them how to make money online while you suck up their time while they watch you play video games and you add no value to their life.
You also suck up their time, though.
Entertainment and how there's no need to have entertainment and how it's just supposed to be fun. I challenge the ideas that YouTubers can sit there and talk and do commentary videos every single day without any specific point of view. All of that goes against everything that I talk about.
Dude, why does Charlie burp so much? Is he okay?
I'm very confused on a lot of this. You don't like sports, right? Because sports is a waste of time. Watching sports is a waste of time, right?
Uh-oh.
No, I don't watch sports.
Well, but more than that, you think people that watch sports, they're not getting any value added to their life. You think it's wasting their time.
Sports are different than video games.
Of course, you can watch a game once in a while, but that is a waste of their time. It's getting harder to go and succeed nowadays. You should be investing your time to something else. But you said yourself, let me ask you this question. What are your beliefs? What are they? I don't know them. Can you tell me what you believe in?
Yeah, I feel like I've made my beliefs very clear. I am very firmly on the side of there are certain things, and it's going to be different for everyone, that make people happy. And main thing I want is for people to be happy. I don't like that men are alone, which is why a lot of the advice I give is telling them to get out of their comfort zone and start with something like the gym. The gym is a very social environment. It's an environment where everyone's working towards similar goals. You immediately surround yourself with like-minded people, and maybe you make a connection at the gym. Maybe you can find a friend there, but even if you don't, you are out of your comfort zone in an environment where people are working for a similar goal. And that already changes your mindset as a person. You've given yourself a goal, you are acting on it, and now you're surrounded by people that are also in a similar boat. I think most importantly is I want people to be happy, and a lot of times they can't find that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with escapism, like watching someone play a game or even playing games yourself. Watching a sport, playing a sport yourself is also great. I play pickup basketball every Thursday. So the things I talk about are usually geared towards either entertaining people for 8 minutes a day or whatever, or during a stream if they're already home from work and just need to unwind. I think all of that is fine. But I do always try and give some level of advice. My background, I don't know if you know, I'm a human science graduate with a concentration in exercise physiology. I believe very firmly in the mind-body connection in terms of strength building and muscle building. It's going to change your whole brain chemistry, and it will help improve the way you're looking at the world. So that's one of the big things I talk about, is even if you're 100% comfortable with your body, there is no reason not to at least try to make these kind of differences and change your perspective on things. It doesn't even have to be a body issue. It helps your mind overall. I am always against people paying for advice from so-called gurus and professionals because you don't need it. The beauty of the internet is it is an unlimited repository of all of the human knowledge, just this compendium of every piece of information for every subject you could want. And you can access it for free. Under no circumstances do I ever advocate for someone paying up to $50 a month for advice they can freely find right now, even if it doesn't come with a built-in...
Gamers always have the argument, but then they never talk about how college is a waste of time and that people go into $50,000 to $100,000.
The programming, it just kicked in.
Millionaires.
Holy
if
shit.
you could pay $50 and talk to a vetted millionaire who has made money online in a way that they don't teach in school, $50 is a steal. People get really upset about this because you're paying somebody directly and you know who you're spending the money on. You don't get upset about college because...
Here's the issue, guys. If you could pay $50 to talk to a millionaire, that would be really valuable. But there's a difference between paying $50 to talk to a millionaire to get advice versus talking to a millionaire that's charging $50 to give you advice. Like, talking to successful people and figuring out what they did to be successful is important, but people that are selling success, it's a different type of model. It seems like it's a slight difference, but I think it actually makes all the difference in the world. In my opinion, like if I were to give, I think I'm very successful. I'm very successful. Like most of the advice that I would give, I would imagine other successful people are going to give, but it's really boring, and I don't think I could charge for it, right? Like, 2 pieces of advice right off the top of my head: finish college. Fucking finish it. Unless you've got another opportunity that is breathing down your neck that college is bringing for just finish college. Just get your fucking degree. It makes everything in your life better. Number 1. Number 2, always be on time to anything, okay? Always be on time or be early. You can always be the guy that's 5 minutes early to everything. Deadlines are so fucking important. And if you can meet deadlines, at least in my industry, that puts you ahead of 95% of fucking people, unironically. If you can respond to an email within 24 hours, amazing. Within 12 hours, great. Within 6 hours, I'm hiring you, okay? If you can respond to an email on time, if you show up to meetings on time, not 5 minutes late, not like, oh, there was some traffic, oh, I kind of woke up late, oh my God, like, dude, and I like, hearing people like in LA would say, oh, California time, I'm 30 minutes late. What do you mean California time? If it's California time, then set your clock back, motherfucker. How are you late every single day to the same fucking meeting? What are you talking about, right? Like, these are like basic things that like you could figure out, or not figure out, but that people tell you. But the problem is, I think that a lot of the like advice that you would get from legitimately successful people, it's not going to be like get rich quick shit. And it's not going to be like grind and hustle shit, right? It's going to be like pretty boring, pretty bog standard. Like the paths to success are well known. It's not some undiscovered land. It's just really hard, and you got to be set up for it sometimes. But nobody wants to hear that. That's not exciting to hear. That's not sexy. You want some guy to tell you how to do like drop shipping in such a way that you're going to be selling Chinese spoons to people and making, $2 million a month off your 15 different revenue streams you've got set up on your Amazon and Google affiliate account, right? It's just like...
And everything you just said is exactly things that I'm trying to navigate this in a way that's not going to spin you into like PR speak. Everything you've said is things that people don't need to pay for. Your lifestyle is whatever makes you happiest, right? You said at the end of the day you want everyone to be the happiest and live the happiest life they can. Right? Is that your goal? Is that your mission?
Yeah, that's what we agree on, and that's what we should focus on doing for our audience.
So then why then do you shit on certain lifestyles that you think are worse than yours? Gaming. Why do you think that if someone is happy gaming for, you keep saying 7 hours, which is an outrageous amount, but we'll use it.
Outrageous?
If someone is happy
What,
gaming
Charlie?
for 7 hours, why shit on them for it?
What does it
People
mean?
aren't happy gaming for 7 hours maybe once in a while, but continuously gaming 7 hours a night, that is not a happy lifestyle for anybody.
Excuse me.
And why do you think you're promoting positivity then? So saying things like racism brings people together.
There's much more to life. I know that there's much more to life than playing video games for 7 hours. Video games, that's an escape.
I agree, Jesus. No one.
He's about to start preaching again.
Video game addiction is not a good thing. I am not a video game addict. Streaming
games. Do you
games.
also agree that video games are an escape?
Video games what?
Are video games an escape?
Yeah, as is watching sports, watching movies. All of it is entertainment.
Why is Grand Theft Auto so fun?
Because it's a well-designed game that offers a lot to do in it. It's a big game filled with plenty of activities to do.
It's a game with a lot to do in it. The reality is there's a lot to do in the
real
world,
life.
and it's condensed in one game. It's giving you a packaged version of what's possible if you actually experience life. People find a way to get cheap dopamine from a screen rather than experience what's outside in the world. It's too easy to get dopamine now. That's
Right.
not happiness. Playing video games is not long-term happiness.
We-
That's escape. That's
We
dopamine.
agree, but these things you are saying, you are fighting me on points I've never made. These are points that I agree with. Video game addiction is a bad thing. If you are going home and playing games forever, you're not in a very happy place, I imagine. But if
Well,
you
you
are,
also
I'm
argued-
also not going to be upset.
You argued, can somebody be happy playing video games for 7 hours? I'm arguing that's not real happiness. That's a fix.
But it can
that's
be.
replicating real happiness.
But it's still
that's dopamine. That's like smoking a cigarette. That's not experiencing what the world has to offer. That's a
It's
condensed
not, but
version that is not real.
it's not experiencing what the world has to offer, but maybe they don't want that. If your mission is
That's not true. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants that in their coping,
So
and it's too risky. They're uncomfortable. They don't want to go and risk rejection of the world. Everybody wants to experience the real world.
Maybe they do. I do. I agree. But that's not going to be the case for everyone, and I recognize that. I agree with wanting everyone to be happy, but you want them to be happy your way.
Okay.
They don't have to be happy my way. I know for certain that the real world is a better life than the world that they condense in a video game.
Cool.
I don't know why we're so hung up on games, but yes, for a lot of people, I think getting outside of gaming is going to be helpful, but that doesn't mean they need to completely stop gaming altogether. There's something called moderation. That goes for everything. Food addiction is life-ruining. Porn addiction is life-ruining. Gambling addiction is
porn.
life-ruining.
He acted
Every
in a
addiction
script.
is life-ruining. Moderation is key. Gaming addiction is life-ruining. It's all about figuring out moderation and also finding what makes you happiest, what amount of hours that is. Maybe it's more hours than somebody else, but it's finding that balance, and that's going to be different for each and every individual. Whereas you're putting a
That's
blanket
why
on it.
This is why I don't gamble in my streams. This is why I don't promote degeneracy in my streams. This is why I only try to promote things that I know are better for people, because even though, yes, some things are good in moderation, it's getting more difficult for the lonely man out there, and it's better to be source of positivity rather than encourage the degeneracy that's keeping everybody trapped.
Jesus.
That's just where we disagree on. I think that you've explained it here. You want people to be happy as well, and I think that's good. And I hope that you try to reiterate that more, because genuinely, man, I had no idea. And you know exactly what my worldview is. You think it's controversial, but I make it extremely clear. I know you think it's repetitive, but I want people to know.
I don't see how your message is somehow bolstered by spamming slurs, for example. Like during that stream with the gun. I couldn't listen to you because you kept saying slurs. How is that necessarily helping make people happy or positive in any way, shape, or form? What does that do to contribute to your overall goal? Because it's not humor either, so it's not seeking truth through funny. It's literally just spamming slurs because you were mad at me.
It is. The reason that it's funny is because I'm on a platform that has free speech, and you're not bound by wokeness where you can't say certain words and you're labeled racist or homophobic or transphobic, where you can say things even if you don't mean them, because we're not trapped with words.
But why say something you don't... Why say something you don't mean, though? What does that do? Wouldn't that go against your ideology where you're like faking it?
That's not a word. A word doesn't encompass a whole belief system. A word can be funny. The word faggot is funny. That was the funniest thing you said this whole debate.
That was pretty funny.
How is that? I don't.
You're laughing now. See?
Well, it's because
it's so ridiculous.
It's an outrageous claim.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
talking to a
It's
child.
Outrageous.
Well, no,
proving
like
my point. It's
no,
outrageous. It's funny.
Your defense
This is
of
the
it.
first time we laughed this whole time. First time we laughed this whole thing.
This is
because of one little word.
Yes, because it's such a silly defense of it. It's like a child who hears "fuck" for the first time and he's like, "Woo, Daddy said fuck." Like, it doesn't.
Well, it worked on you.
Well,
are you? Because it worked on you.
If you just said it without your explanation of why it's good, I probably wouldn't have laughed. The point is, and this is talking about what I was mentioning, like with the pizza box. It's so outrageous, it's humorous. Like, these things are outrageous, and that makes it humorous, which it seems like you can recognize.
Do you believe that Andrew and Tristan Tate are innocent?
That I
Jesus.
don't know. They could be, and I've said that from the start.
You don't have a belief on that?
Well, because I don't have the evidence. They've been charged twice with the human trafficking, but none of the evidence is public.
You didn't look at all the victims and their allegations and how everything was exposed on WhatsApp, how they plan to make a Netflix movie out of this. All of that was online. I think.
But then,
if you cover current events, this is something you jump onto the pizza
Sneako
box.
has no idea what he's talking about for any of this. He hasn't taken the time to look at any of this. He's just talking about what shows up in his Twitter feed.
Laughing at somebody falsely in prison, but you can't go and just look at a couple screenshots and see that as garbage.
do you see? Well, hold on. Before you interrupt, I would like to talk about both things. But do you see how I mentioned the pizza box being outrageous? But that one. That's like a slur to you, me mentioning that. That one, you stopped laughing the second I mentioned it, even though it's the same principle that you were talking about. It's outrageous. It's silly. It's stupid, right? That's what makes it humorous, in the same way you were defending the slurs. But that one's a little too far. Like, you have these weird lines where it doesn't really make sense.
That's not a good argument, because you're laughing at two people who actually went to
I'm
jail.
laughing at the pizza box. I don't recall.
You're laughing at the pizza box putting two people in jail because of what you saw on Twitter. When I say the word faggot or I say a slur, it's just a funny word to say.
God.
There's no consequences for that. Nobody goes to jail falsely.
That's not true. People have gone to jail for saying slurs, which I don't agree with the censorship of speech. But that we're talking about something totally different.
Right now, into that. Me saying that right now, that's
right.
But
and me
thing.
saying the pizza box thing right now, that shouldn't be a problem. It is outrageous and it is silly. But let me get back to what you were mentioning. I have looked at the evidence from both sides. I always do. I don't just go to these tribes and just assume everything on my side is right and everything on that side is wrong. I take information from all angles in order to find where I personally sit on this perspective, on this situation. So, for the Tate brothers, being charged twice with human trafficking, while there is some shady shit from the victims, there is still real merit to some of the things that people were talking about, such as something you talked about as well, the taking of the passports from some of the women and getting there under the guise that they would be able to date them. Those are very odd, very peculiar things. So it's not like it's just, all of that's wrong and we have to disregard all of it because this is here. There is, on both sides here, evidence that makes it a very complicated case, which is why it's gone on for so long, right? It's not one where I know the answer. They could be innocent, they could be guilty. I do think it's weird they've now been charged twice. There is some very odd things there because that's not exactly a light thing to come after someone for. And there is things that you have talked about.
It's wrong that people can go to jail for 4 months without any evidence or charges?
And even outside of the Tates, I have said that in this country, where you can go to jail on suspicion of things without ever being charged. It's a problem. Yes, it is a problem.
Okay. I didn't see that video. I saw the video laughing about the pizza box putting in jail.
He's so
Did you make a video about that?
Yes, and I talked. Well, it's in that video where I say I don't know if he's guilty.
The pizza box thing.
I don't like if there's real victims here. Like, I would never celebrate someone being a human trafficker because there's victims. I wouldn't celebrate him being a human trafficker.
Is Charlie good at navigating the convo?
There, even though
he's doing an okay job. This is a pretty hard convo. Like, I don't think Charlie's like a debater guy.
I wouldn't want him to be a human trafficker. That means there are real victims being in terrible situations. I did say that, and I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. Nobody does right now, except for them and whatever's going on in Romania. The joking about a pizza box is things I make about anything that has craziness around it, like the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. There's so much silliness there that I talk about, but at the end of the day, I don't know who's innocent or guilty. I'm joking about the goofiness of things that have come up, right?
All right, I gotta get going. It's getting a little hectic out here.
Okay, well, I guess kind of to tie it all back to the whole crux of it, I feel like I've got to know you a lot better now. I do still think a lot of the things that you talk about aren't things that I'm convinced you're 100% believing yourself, because they run counter to the way that you live your life. So that's
because I tweet?
Well, no, not just the tweet. The constant victimization, the sensitivity to jokes where I feel like you of all people should be embracing the people dunking on you, because it shows that people are more willing to insult and make jokes about people, which is something you're a big proponent of.
That's not true. Both Meat Canyon videos, I reacted to the Meat Canyon video and I was laughing. I have a good sense of humor. It's the people advocating for my cancellation,
which I never
diving
did.
into my past and trying to me as a bat. It's not the jokes that I'm upset about. Charlie, you could admit that there are dozens and dozens of documentaries about me trying to make me look like a terrible person, people trying to call me a misogynist. That's the things, the false accusations that I'm upset about. It has nothing to do with the jokes. I don't care.
So the way I look at those documentaries is an extension of that fact, right? So taking your worst moments and making fun of you for it, like Willie Mack's videos, for example. I don't see those as cancellation. I think maybe it's this lens that you have because, again, you were the victim of deplatforming. That did happen, right? That did happen. I recognize that. And I've always said I don't agree with that.
You say I'm a victim of deplatforming, but also I'm victimizing myself for pointing it out.
No, you're victimizing yourself when people are just making jokes about you, not advocating for your deplatforming or cancellation, just making jokes about you. That is not the same. You got deplatformed. That
It's a mutant
sucks.
wave, so
people
build more
making
towers
fun of
by
you
law.
is not comparable.
Wait, how many towers do I need?
People have made videos with the title "Sneako is a terrible person." That's not a joke. Sneako deserves to be banned. Sneako is a misogynist. Sneako is racist. They've written articles about me calling me racist when I joined the Yay 24 campaign. That's not jokes. That's trying to make me look like a bad person.
But
you're acting like
you can call those out.
It's like, Sneako's funny. Like, okay, there's one thing like, Sneako's a cuck. That's funny. Fine. Made a mistake. Sneako, horrible person. Sneako is a racist. That's not a joke.
So you can but you realize you can do two different things there. You can call that out as being bad actors and you disagree, and then you give your point on why you're not racist. But then you can still turn around and recognize that half the people on your the collage, your fucking strip, aren't advocating for your cancellation. They are insulting you. Like there's two different layers. There are people that are saying you're racist, you're misogynist, and if you disagree, then you can fight them on it, and it's not jokes. Then at that point, it's a debate to be had. But then
I do agree. Half of them want to cancel. The other half were just making jokes. But you all look the same, so I put you in a collage.
I just don't see how we looked the same. But that's not here to fight you on your perspective.
People disagree, but
I haven't seen anyone agree. I don't know where you're seeing the agreement outside of Rumble.
I agree with you. I think this conversation was good. I got to know more about what you stand for and your belief system. I didn't know what it was, and I have watched your videos for years, man. I used to enjoy your content, and then I'm one of the people that just grew out of it because I didn't see exactly what value you were adding to my life. And what bothered me is the fact that you were lying about Fresh and Fit, and that's how I heard about him. And that upset me, realistically, because it's like, look at the way that people who are telling the truth get painted as. They get painted as these incel, virgin, loser, racist, misogynist. They try to box you in instead of tell the truth about you, because I think that they don't like what you're talking about. But I would like for us to have another conversation in the future. I like that you have a good message about how people should be happy. I like that you're advocating for the gym and you're playing basketball and you're telling people to get out of their comfort zone. I think that those are all really good things. And I do think that you're funny. I can't deny about that. Like, it's a little monotone, but you're a funny guy.
I do appreciate the conversation. One more thing you mentioned there that I do want to point out, the boxing in of people. That's something I try not to do, and I feel like I've done a good job of not doing that, but that is something you do, right? You box me in as woke and spreading these kind of things, and all kinds of other people, you box them in on certain things that make no sense. Like, boxing in is something that you also do. Do you disagree?
Okay, but you can decide. You can see people's ideologies. Everybody I put in the swordboard collage. What do you think they think about Tate? What do you think they think about Fresh and Fit? What do you think they think about Trump? You probably have the same point of view.
Yeah, but you've got the same point of view on all of those things, just the opposite end, right?
Like calling out. Like, for example, you have the same.
Accurate?
Is what not accurate?
Everybody in that swordboard collage who has advocated for my cancellation or slandered me or insulted me, made jokes about me, they all also dislike Tate. They all also dislike Fresh and Fit. They all also think that Trump is racist.
I don't presume to know people's belief, and I don't really talk to anyone on the collage, so I don't really know. But the point is, you could make the same argument for you, right? If people are boxing you in as a racist, you do say things that do and lend themselves to being construed as racist, right? So would you fit on a racist collage? Probably. Like, how do you feel?
It all comes down to intention. It all comes down to intention. And
okay.
These people that the people that I put in the collage, their intentions are to bring down the alpha. That's the common theme I see from all of them. Oh, alpha male Sneako, alpha male Fresh and Fit. It comes from a place of cope and of jealousy because they see people who are living a lifestyle opposite of them, and instead of admitting that there's a different path or admitting that they could have a good point, they try to bring down their character.
Jesus.
That's the common theme I see with these people. So the intentions that I see from these people in the collage, they're not pure, they're not good. It's jealousy and it's hate.
And again, that is still something they could say about you as well.
We're
That's
looping.
just one of the things I was
fair.
really.
And that's fair, and that's why you made me realize that I need to. This whole hate brigade on Sneako in the recent weeks. I'm going to repurpose my message now. I'm not gonna. What up, man? Yo, do you know Moistcritikal? Hey, say what's up to him now. We're saying hi. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, look.
Oh, I follow you on Twitter.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Hey.
Just traveling the world right now.
Cool, man. See Moist Canyon's video?
Yeah, we saw Meat. What did you think of the Meat Canyon video?
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Charlie, what's up, man?
It was
Hey,
funny.
how's it
We
going,
laughed
man?
about it. I think that's a good way to end it on. Hope we could talk again in the future. I don't think we should have beef. And yeah, you did. I want to thank you for starting that whole Sneako hate brigade, because it's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am guilty of doing the same things that I am mad about, and I do attribute a lot of that to being canceled and a lot of resentment about that. But I just have to spread positivity now and then not engage in the same type of behavior that I criticize. Yeah, you're right about that. So I'm just gonna go and I'm not gonna go attack mode anymore. I don't think that there's any value to that. It's just gonna come back to me.
Look, they made up.
Well, I actually really appreciate the conversation, man. It's nice to hear like a more human side of you outside of like, you know, what I see on Twitter or Rumble. I actually do think this was a very valuable conversation, so I appreciate you I really appreciate you taking the time to have a bit of a call with me about it.
Yeah, thanks, man. And mags, not clips.
Yeah, from now on, bro, if you're gonna be talking about guns, get the terminology right. You very much offended me with that one.
All right, take it easy, bro.
Hey, you too, bro.
It was actually pretty cool of Charlie to do this combo. He really didn't need to, right? Considering like the relative size of platforms and everything. I would have never expected he would have. I would have just assumed he would have just kept making fun of him and then avoiding him. I wonder what motivated him to actually do the call.